Hello, hello. Welcome to this week's episode on Life Redefined. So, today I wanted it to be a bit of a story and a big perspective shift that I had recently in my own life that I thought might be helpful for my audience to share and understand in their own way too, of how we can really change our perspective within seconds of a situation. So last week, I was filling in my weekly check in with my nutrition and fitness coach, and I was letting her know that, oh, I was feeling really sore like after my workouts. And one, I've been very proud of myself that I've been working out for like 2.5 months now consistently, which has truly blown my mind. And I've been doing it like 3 times a week, and I'm now starting to feel sore. And so she said one line, one statement that completely shifted my entire perspective. And I have a few lessons here. So when I was sharing that I was sore, you know, I was definitely thinking about it in multiple ways of like, why am I sore and all these things. And her response simply was so simple, but so powerful was she was like, oh, if you're feeling sore, that means you're starting to build muscle, like that you're improving. And so I'd love to talk about like next steps. And as simple as that statement was, it honestly made me tear up because one, I've never been this consistent with working out. Two, I've never gotten to this level of fitness and health in my life that has essentially been a marker of improving my physique and wellness. And it was such an eye-opening moment because one, my perspective on me feeling sore in workouts was a bad thing. Like old Sonia, all of my conditioning growing up, all the things that I've ever tried when it came to working out was if I was sore, I took that as a bad thing, at least in my experience. And I wasn't very like knowledgeable in the fitness world or knowing like types of workouts and things like this before. And so my entire image and experience and connection with having a sore body after workouts, I always took it as, oh, I did it too hard. And that was, now I'm going to be out like out for a week or something and I can't work out again. Um, or essentially like that it was a bad thing. And a lot of the time, that was a story I told myself in the past that led me to then not continuing to work out. And one, I am so, so grateful that I have somebody in my corner that is able to ride this journey with me and talk through these things with me. So one, if you are thinking about, getting a coach or even having a therapist or connecting with somebody that can really give you a different lens, a different perspective, or even just opening up and sharing your journey with your closest family and friends can be a world of difference of hearing a variety of perspectives. And yes, sometimes you'll get a lot of people's own opinions. And that's why I love when it comes to the mental health space and the health coaching space and having somebody with their own expertise in that field in your corner, because they will share things to you that one, I didn't even think about. Right. And I teared up in this moment because when she said, oh, like if you're feeling sore at this point, like because you've been so consistent, it's probably because you're building muscle. I never would have thought that based on me being sore. And then she gave me some suggestions of like next steps of like what I can do to support that at this like next like fitness level that I'm at. And it was like an immediate moment where I felt so proud of myself and I had so much joy of being like, whoa, like this is what improvement feels like in the journey. Like it's such a wild thing to experience and connect with when you are going on that journey and you're like, "Wait a second, this isn't a bad thing." And this made me think about, like, another scenario of, like, like, let's say you're 10 years old and you ate cottage cheese and you hated cottage cheese and you're just like, "Ew, never again." And then fast forward, you're like 30 years old and you have never touched cottage cheese since you're 10 years old. And you have been holding this thought of, "I don't like cottage cheese. I hate it. I think it's gross." Well, 1, you're an adult now. 2, you've developed drastically since 10. And 3, like, we can always change our minds. So, funny enough, this story is true for me. I had always thought that cottage cheese was gross. And sure enough, this nutrition and fitness journey has just been so eye-opening to me where I realized I actually like cottage cheese now, which is so wild. It's like so this whole story is really coming into fruition in the sense of, 1, when you have somebody in your corner to give you a different perspective, especially having the knowledge and expertise to give you a different lens of, "Hey, like, this is actually a part of the journey. This is actually part of your growth. Like, this is actually a great thing, even though it might feel uncomfortable or painful or sore," in my case. Like, that's a good thing. Like, your body is changing, your body is adapting, and our brain goes to this place so quickly of something feels immediately wrong, AKA, I need to place meaning onto it and create something about this feeling. And the thing is, feelings are fleeting and it doesn't need to mean anything about me. And when I would always go into the negative about that, it would really lead me into the place of not continuing on the journey. And I feel like a lot of us get stuck in that middle ground of when you start the journey, you're like all gung ho and you're like, yes, I'm ready for this. Then you go through the journey and it's uncomfortable, it's messy, it's scary, and it can be painful at times. And when we get in that sticky middle, that's where we have to stay firm in our ground and in our values and allow ourselves to move through that uncomfortable. And that's why I'm so grateful that I was able to have my coach in my corner to give me this realization and different perspective in the messy middle when I would have in the past turned around and not continued. And so I wanted to share this lens because how often are you telling yourself you don't like something or you don't want to do something or, oh, God, I would never do that. Like, that's just not who I am. I would love for you to take away from this episode to challenge those thoughts because you can always change and try new things. You can always change your perspective. And if you're that person that didn't like cottage cheese when you're 10 and you're still telling yourself that you don't like it and you're, way later in your life, I would love for you to test those things out and say, "Hey, you know what? Maybe I will try something new." And along that journey, we get to figure out so many amazing things about ourselves and confirms things for ourselves. Maybe you do try cottage cheese nowadays and you're like, "I still don't like it." But then it's like, "Cool. You can confirm that." And I think it's just so beautiful to have those micro moments of a perspective shift that drastically navigates and supports the rest of your journey. So, I would love for you to take away from this is if you're thinking about trying something new, taking a chance on something that you feel like you would quote unquote never be the type of person to do that, I would love for you to say, you know what? I'm going to do this for me. This is going to be my moment. This is where I'm going to take that chance and try, even just in a little way, because you're the only person telling yourself, oh, this is just not who I am. It can be. You can like you can like cottage cheese. You can realize different perspectives when you have somebody in your corner or when you take those chances and you challenge those thoughts. And now this is making me realize so many other like ripple effects in my life of saying, oh, wow, if I thought that me being sore was a bad thing before, what else have I been telling myself in relation to my fitness journey, but also in other areas of my life? And that's what made me think of like cottage cheese and like trying new foods and different things. Like it opened up a whole other world for me. And I wanted to just share that experience with you today. And I would love to hear any of your thoughts or perspectives on what you are going through. And if you decide to take a chance on something, then I would love to hear it. And if you do want somebody in your corner, come join the Redefine Collective. It is a beautiful space with resources and two Q&A calls a month where you get guidance along your journey. And I hope you all have a lovely rest of your week. Bye, guys.